Hey everyone, how is it going? So today we are continuing on with the Nimzowitsch. Just as a quick recap, Nimzowitsch is the pawn out to the e4, horsey to the c6, this is the Nimzowitsch, pawn comes down on the d4, d5, and we are looking at the advanced variation where the pawn comes down on the e5. Now, in the last episode, we had a little look at the f6 coming up. For this, what we're going to do is have a little look at the bishop coming across to the f5, which is, to be honest, probably my favourite move of the two, and just because it's perfectly positioned to be staring down right on this c2 pawn here. And we're going to have plans, if we can, of trying to bring the horsey up to here, you know, kind of pairing these guys off like so. But yeah, really fun opening there. As always, if you like this kind of thing, please subscribe, really helps the channel grow. Drop us a like, comment and all that stuff just to keep the YouTube gods happy. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. Now, in this position, probably the best move for white is just going to be bringing down that c3, just getting this absolutely wonderful pawn chain going on there, and it stops that horsey from jumping up to here on the b4, coming across for that cheeky little fork there. So c3, probably the more common thing that you're going to see. We will have a little look at some of the other alternatives. From here, what I would be doing really is just pushing up the pawn, a bit like the carrow, just kind of, you know, closing off the gate and just getting your own little pawn chain going on there. Now, white can have a few plans from here. If he comes out with something like the bishop, just directly attacking our bishop, that's absolutely fine. I would just bring your horsey across to here on the e7. Just in case he does go ahead and capture, we can jump up the horsey to here, and then it's going to be really well positioned there. Just kind of nice and central with a lot of flexibility on its movement. After something like the horsey coming across to here on the e2, I would just push forward the queen to the d7 with plans of just castling off to the queen side and getting nice and safe there. King castles off, we can push forward that pawn. Now, this pawn coming up is going to be one of our kind of key moves, and it's something that we're going to see quite a lot in this position. We're just trying to break open that centre completely. Now, normally we're going to see for white, this pawn coming down onto the f4, just trying to really lock in that centre there. Look at that beautiful chain that he's got going on there. But again, it's nothing we have to be overly concerned about. We can castle off to the queen side there, and he'll start coming down with his little pawn attack. And from here, I'd be looking at probably bringing the queen down to here onto the e8, and just in case he comes across with the horsey like so, threatening our bishop. If he does that, then I would probably just go straight away do the bishop exchange, because once the bishops have been exchanged, the queen comes down there, our queen situated there. We can look at coming across to here and then just going and just doing the queen exchange there, just to show you how that would play out. So we'll just say something like this. Horsey comes across, do the exchange there, and then probably just look at bringing your queen across to here. Like I say, looking at doing the queen exchange there, that'll then open up this rook, lovely open file, staring down on the king side there. But yeah, that's going to be our kind of main plan there. We're going to look at trying to break open the centre. We do have to be a bit careful in this situation just because we do have this, but we should be okay, to be honest. Slight advantage to white, but nothing over the top. It's 0.4 advantage according to Stockfish. Yeah, you should have an okay game there. Now, let's just bring it all the way back to where were we? Yeah, so you might not see the bishop come across to here. Maybe you'll see something like the horsey coming across to here onto the d2. Now, this is a bit of a waiting move. He's not going to be looking at jumping to here onto the b3 straight away, but it just does give him that option there. And like I say, it's a bit more of a waiting move. And again, like before, white's going to be looking at pushing down that pawn onto the f4. That's going to be something that we're going to see really common throughout this. And for us, like I said before, again, very common move for black, is just pushing forwards that f6, looking at just breaking open the centre there. If he does go ahead and take, that is fantastic for us. We just go and take back with our horsey, and we're left in this kind of position. We are very well developed with the 3 minor pieces out. We have really good movement for the bishop. I'd probably be looking at just plopping it here on the d6 there, and yeah, we should be absolutely fine, and you can castle off either way. If you want to be extra safe, you can castle off to the queen side there, or if you'd prefer, you know, like once the bishop's there, castle off to the king side, you'll have the rook on a nice open file staring down like this. Either way really would be absolutely fine. And let's bring it back again. Let's just say he decides to go for something like, let's say, horsey to the f3 there. Well, as before, we're smashing up that pawn. Again, we're going to see this time and time again, just really targeting that e5 pawn, because we really do want to smash open that centre a little bit. And like before, if he goes ahead and takes, then clearly we just take back there. Let's just say he doesn't take, and he decides to come across and start threatening our bishop like so. Well, you can see analysis bars just jumped right up in our favour there. All we're going to do, capture that pawn in the centre. It's fine if he goes ahead and takes our bishop, because if he does, then clearly we're just going to take back, and we have these quite well situated pawns here. Now, you may just see him go ahead and capture the centre, as you'd expect. Horsey's just going to come straight up, and yeah, you can see everything is well in our favour. White has still everything on the back rank there. We have a lot of flexibility and movement, and we have total control of the centre there. Now, you'll probably just see the queen come across, just staring down like so, just trying to pin your horsey to the king there. That's fine, just bring your queen across to here. And yeah, we should be in for a really, really good game from here. Again, just castle off to the queen side there. It's the most logical place to go, since these guys are still on the back rank. And then, yeah, just look at developing your horsey there, pushing forwards the pawns like so. And again, like I say, we should be in for a good game. Now, one of the moves that you may not see as often, but it is fairly decent, is the bishop coming across to here onto the e2. And again, White's going to have plans of smashing forwards that pawn down to here, which we're going to see. Now, this move might not really look like too much, but the main thing is it's going to be ever so annoying when he does come across to here. And again, he's going to be looking at, developing the horsey and stuff like that. But that pawn coming down, as always, is going to be a fairly critical move for him. Again, just push forward the pawn like so, and hoping that he's going to go ahead and take. If he does, like before, like every time he takes, we just go ahead and capture back, and things are fantastic for us. But you're probably not going to see that. Really, White really wants to be keeping the tension there and just coming across with this. Because once the horsey's here, it just completely blocks that little battering ram of the queen and the bishop that he's got there. So let's just say he comes down with the pawn onto the f4. Well, we can then smash up the pawn onto the g5. And this, it does look risky. And it is a little bit risky, but there is method to my madness here. Now, yes, it is kind of exposing this, and he's probably just going to come across and just put you straight in check. That's fine, just to move the king out of the way onto the d7 there. We have enough cover around here for things to be fairly safe, and later on, we'll be looking at getting the queen out the way, move the rook out the way, and we can just kind of manually castle off later on if we want to. But like I say, our key kind of thing here is just trying to smash open his centre and just try and stop this huge pawn chain that he's got going on. And you can see there is a lot of tension going on in the middle of the board here. So after pawn goes ahead and takes, we can go ahead and capture that centre pawn. While it's going to be tempting to just take back like so, much better move's just going to be capturing towards the centre. Again, just trying to break open that centre. That pawn is not really doing too much there. Yes, he's protected by the bishop for the time being, but he is going to be a bit of a target later on. Horsey comes across, just trying to add in the extra defender, because there's a lot going on in the centre here. We have all of this kind of going on there. So bringing out the horsey, definitely the best move. And then just push forward the pawn to the h6 there. Again, what we're hoping for is that he's just going to go ahead and take. If he does, we can just go capture back with the horsey, and we'll be really well developed there. Most of our pieces are going to be out and in play. Pawn coming down onto the g4. Again, we can't capture because of this, so we're going to have to do something about it. So coming across into the centre, pinning the horsey to the rook is going to be your better choice there. After something like horsey coming across to here, I would just go ahead and take that horse on the f3 there and just let him take back. And from here, I mean, looking at this position, probably something like the e4. It's a very attacking move, kind of locks in our centre a little bit there, and it makes the most sense in this position. I wouldn't go ahead taking that just because it's going to allow him getting in for the moment, so pushing forward that pawn, e4, definitely the best move from there. And yeah, it's a bit of an odd-looking position, like our king's just kind of sat there. But like I say, we can manually get him over there anytime we want. That'll be absolutely fine, don't worry about that. His king isn't getting castled off anytime soon, so that's good. There's going to be a lot of action on this queen side, so do be very careful, but it's a pretty evenish position. Slight advantage to white, but it's only 0.5, nothing mind-blown. You should have a really even but very fun game from here. Now, just bringing it back, let's just say, what if he comes out with the horse e2 here on the e2? Well, again, just push forward the pawn to the f6, and he'll come down with the f4, and go straight up with the h5. And we're going to be looking at just pushing this forwards as much as we can, just threatening this kingside, stopping him from getting castled off there. Horsey comes across, threatening our bishop, so we'll just drop it back. I wouldn't be looking at doing any exchanges there, just because he's on a really key diagonal for the time being, and he's causing quite a lot of mischief there, so I'll just keep him put where he is. If the bishop does come across and threaten you, then I will just go ahead and just do the exchange there. And then from here, just keep pushing forwards that pawn. Threaten his horsey, get him to jump out the way, and again, just keep pushing forwards. If he goes ahead and takes, that is absolutely fine. We can just look at, we can pick that up anytime we want here. Move your queen across, just giving yourself a little bit of room to get castled off to safety there. And yeah, should kind of play itself. Slight advantage to black, but again, very, very even kind of position. Again, as before, if he goes ahead and takes, that just allows us to develop our horsey there. Yeah, we should have a really good time here. Now, we've explored the pawn coming down quite enough, making that pawn chain. To be honest, the most common move that you're probably going to see, which is probably the worst one instead, is the horsey coming out to here on the f3. Now, as you can see here, it's blocking in that pawn move from coming down and just really solidifying that centre. And it really does work in black's favour. And from here, we're just going to play same as before, push forward the pawn up to the e6, just lock in the centre a little bit there. And if he comes down with a c3 then as before, pawn up to the f6, trying to break open the centre, and as before, if he goes ahead and takes, we're clearly just going to go ahead and take back. If he doesn't take and instead decides to come across with something like the horsey to here onto the d2, and that's fine, we can just go ahead, capture in the centre, try and break open the centre a little bit. He'll take back, and then we can just start developing our pieces as normal. And from here, our main kind of plan of action would be probably jumping the horse across to here onto the g6, so we'd have both of the horses kind of teaming up together like so to try and take out that pawn, because that pawn is going to be a definite target for us. Look at just, once the horsey's there, maybe look at bringing the queen across to here, getting castled off to the queen side. Maybe get out the bishop first before you do that. But then, yeah, we're just going to be launching these pawns down this way. Pretty straightforward stuff, and probably try and get the other rook across to here when we're doing our main attack there. Pretty straightforward. Now, what if he goes for something like the horsey to the e2? This way, you can see he can still do that really key pawn move to the pawn to the f4, and he's going to have plans of jumping his horsey across to here onto the g3, just to try and attack our bishop there. Well, like before, lock in the centre. If he comes across to try and attack you, just slide it straight back. Be nice and safe there. Then, after something like the bishop moving across, just to allow a little bit of space so we can get castled off, we can then look at bringing up our horsey, teaming these guys up like so to try and attack this pawn. Clearly, white does not want that to happen, so bringing across the horsey does defend that pawn for now, and we can just start looking at smashing open the centre with something like the pawn up to the c5. If he comes down, attacks our horsey, then just hop it out of the way, and yeah, he'll get castled off there. Push forward the pawn on the a6, just stopping him from jumping down and starting all kinds of mischief. And yeah, once again, even position from here. And if he takes, then clearly just go ahead, take back like so. We'll be looking at probably bringing the horsey across to there, looking at jumping it up to here if we can, getting castled off to the king's side if we can. Again, very, very nice, even game. Okay, what if he does the f4 first? This is one of the more common ones that you're going to see, just fully locking in the centre there. We're just going to be playing exact same principles as before. So we'll start by locking in the centre with that pawn up to the e6. He comes out with the horsey, and then we bring across the horsey like before, just trying to get that lovely little fork there. He'll come across, try to stop you, then we push forward the pawn up to the c5, try and break open the centre a little bit there. Pawn comes down to try and kick you out of the way, and we have to jump out of the way, surprise, surprise. Horsey starts rerouting himself around, and then we can bring ours to here. Just for when he does come across, looking at doing the exchange and just getting the horse really, really nice position there. So just to show you, if he comes across like so, we can just bring across the rook, just for when this does get blown open, we'll have him on a nice open file there. And if he does go ahead and take, clearly, like I say, we just take back with the horsey like so. And yeah, he's in a really key position here. We always love trying to get the horsey here, just because he has so much flexibility and movement. If he doesn't do that and instead just say comes across with something like the bishop, you can see there's a bit of a battleground starting to build up from here. So bring the queen across, adds in the extra layer of defense, and we're also attacking this b2 pawn here. So the rook will have to come across, try and defend it a little bit, do the pawn exchange, then just jump the horsey up, get him there. Now we're threatening his other bishop. So bishop moves out of the way, take the pawn, and then he gets castled off nice and safe there. Jump the horsey up, look at doing the exchange like so. Once he takes, we can then bring our bishop across, and again, do the exchange. King moves out of the way, and we're left in this position. Once again, very even. We're going to be looking at getting castled off to the king's side there. Maybe look at pushing forward that pawn. If you don't want to get castled straight off, so you can just kind of manually move the king to safety there, start pushing forward the pawn like that, and we'll be looking at rerouting the horsey too here. But yeah, should be really fun game from there. So, bishop coming down and going for the pin. Again, one of the more common things that you're going to be seeing from here. Well, again, as before, lock in the centre a little bit. Horsey starts coming around, giving him room just so he can get castled off there. And then bring up the queen like so. He gets castled off, push forward the pawn, try and kick him out of the way. Normally, you're just going to see him jump back like so. Then, like before, push forward the f6, just try and blow open the centre. And as always, if he takes, then we're just going to take back with the horsey. Normally, he won't do that because it's just allowing you to develop, but I do just like to kind of keep hammering that home a little bit. And then that pawn coming down onto the f4. Again, all stuff that we've seen plenty of times, just following the same kinds of principles as before. Start moving forwards that pawn onto the h5, and again we're just looking at just continually pushing it forwards just to try and damage his king side defense there. The pawn comes down, we can get castled off to the queen side there, and he'll look at just start launching this attack. From there, we are just planning on just rerouting the queen for when we start launching our main attack there. If the pawn comes down like so, that's absolutely fine. It works out actually in our favour. So we take, he takes back, and we just continue pushing forward that pawn. Yes, he can start getting that queen down, but you'll see in a second it's not really doing too much. Once we move the king up to the d7 there, and the queen starts coming down, threatening this pawn, all we have to do, bring across that rook there, and really it does look a little bit scary in this position, but really the queen isn't really doing too much there. He can't really, you know, get in, he can't really do too much damage, and all the entire time we're just kind of launching our main attack down that way. And you can see it puts us at a 0.9 advantage. Very, very comfortable game for black here. Now, another fairly common move that you may see, which again isn't really too great for white, is coming out with the horse e2 here on the c3. Well, I would just straight away just push forwards that a6 pawn, just stopping him from jumping down like so and causing all kinds of shenanigans. He just keeps developing, and then we come up once again looking at trying to get the fork. He'll try and block you out of the way. Now, normally I'd be recommending taking with a bishop, but in this position I'd actually recommend taking with a horsey. Because if he goes back and just says take with the pawn there, this bishop is really well positioned to be just kind of targeting that at all times there. Pawn comes up as before, just locking in the centre, and yeah, fairly straightforward stuff from there. We have really good movement for the bishop, maybe coming across, looking at going for the pin if you can there. We're looking at jumping the horsey to there, maybe dropping this guy back so we can try and get the horsey up to there, and get castled off either way that you want to. And as before, you can always look at, oopsie daisy, pushing forward that pawn onto the f6 if you want to try and blow up in the centre a bit. But yeah, pretty straightforward stuff, and you can see we are at a very slight advantage here, 0.4. Nothing to write home about, but still an advantage is an advantage there. And yeah, they're all the kind of key lines that you're really going to see. I mean, there are some other kind of more fringe ones that you may see, you know, like bishop coming down like so, and then all you have to do is just push up the pawn, he jumps out of the way there, and you can see we're just straight away at a huge advantage, 1.1 advantage there, but I just didn't really see the point in covering all those kind of like weirder little lines. But yeah, hopefully it was helpful for you. If you like this kind of thing, once again, please subscribe. Channel's not doing great at the moment. Last video only got like 80 views, so I'll put a little card above if you'd like to watch it, please do. It is doing so bad. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am going to finish drinking my tea. I've just woken up. I had night shift last night. I'm gonna have another quick nap and then back to work. So you dudes go off, have some fun, play some chess, and I'll catch you all later.